Hello there. Good evening. Hi, everybody. Good evening and welcome. Welcome to Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Dr. Suzanne Intriligator. I am pleased to be the minister of this congregation. And on behalf of the church, I want to welcome everybody here today. It's just wonderful to have this room so full of life and very soon full of music. We've all been missing that, I think, for a while. So tonight is a really special evening. Thank you all for coming here and being part of it. Just a couple of quick announcements before we get going. For your safety, we're asking everybody to remain masked tonight. Thank you so much for helping with that. One exception is the performers and speakers tonight so that you can understand them better. I want you to know that there are 2 emergency exits if we should need them. This door right here goes out to Myrtle Street, and that one where you came in goes back out to Emerson Street. There are restrooms available to you right out that door there. There's a room there called the parlor with comfy chairs. Go make yourself comfortable if you need a break tonight. Just past the parlor is an all-gender restroom and a ladies' restroom, and if they're occupied, there are more restrooms downstairs. I just want to say briefly that Melrose UU is really proud to be the founding sponsor of the Opening Doors project. It grew... Thank you. We have some other UUs in the house tonight who are being very kind and loving. So our anti-racism team during the pandemic became aware that musicians were having a hard time making ends meet because they couldn't perform. And we decided that we really wanted to reach out to musicians of color in order to amplify their voices and also to learn from them. So we gathered some seed funding and we handed it over to a member of our congregation, the nationally known musician, Alistair Mook. And Alistair is the one who developed that idea into the Opening Doors project, which is now so much more than a concert series. It's really wonderful. If you haven't watched the episodes online, I urge you to do that. But I want to pass over now to the real host of this evening's festivities, who is joining us, unfortunately, from home tonight, but we have the technology to do it. It's Alistair Mook. Alistair, are you there?
I am. Can you guys hear me? Thank you so much.
We don't see you yet. We're not on the projector yet, Alistair. Just there you are. Yay! Woo! Yay, Alistair.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Yeah, what incredible technology we're lucky to be able to take advantage of tonight. Unfortunately, we got hit by the COVID bug here. And I've been down for the last couple of days. I'm feeling better tonight, but because of our incredible tech guru, Bill Holt, back there behind the screen, the man behind the curtain, and because of this army of volunteers, Suzanne, my wife Jane, who is negative, Beth and Tug Yergrow, Paul Locke, and all the folks who've come down and helped tonight, we're able to pull this off. My co-producer for Opening Doors, Stacy Babb, also has COVID at home. So we really couldn't have pulled this off anywhere else. Tonight's concert and conversation with Kemp Harris was made possible by a grant from the Massachusetts Cultural Council and by the Melrose UU Church and by donations from folks like you guys. If you would like to make a donation to help us with this work, you can do that at the Opening Doors, or it's openingdoorsproject.net, openingdoorsproject.net. I'll put that in the Zoom chat for those of you at home. This is our very first live and mostly in-person event. For a year, I've been interviewing and playing music from a distance with performers from home. This is our first time actually having a live audience in a space. Before we get to Kemp, I want to tell you about our next event, which is coming up really quickly behind this one. On Saturday, June 11th, we will be having the Opening Doors Festival. I'll be playing music with my touring partner and longtime friend, Reggie Harris. And we'll be joined by the teen singing group, the Boston City Singers out of Dorchester, Mass. And there's going to be a whole community art project facilitated by Follow Your Art Community Studios here in Melrose, and also by Artists for Humanities in Boston. So we're very excited for that. Saturday, June 11th. That's going to be an outdoor festival-like event. All right, before I introduce my friend Kemp, I want to remind folks, just amplify what Suzanne said, that folks on Zoom, this is new for us, so we really need folks to stay muted throughout the performance, because when you speak, it is actually broadcasting into the room. So please keep those mute buttons on for the duration of the show. When we get to the Q&A session later, if you have questions, you can type them in the chat. All right, on to Kemp Harris. Kemp Harris is a singer-songwriter, an actor, an activist, author, storyteller, and an educator based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. His music spans and transcends soul, blues, jazz, and musical theater. Born in segregated Edenton, North Carolina in 1953, Kemp moved to the Boston area to pursue a career in education. For over 40 years, he was a kindergarten teacher in the Newton Public Schools, performing music on the side in an incredible juggling act. I'm going to be talking with Kemp after his performance today about some of that work, how he juggled those two, and how they helped make an impression on each other. Tom Ashbrook of NPR's On Point says Kemp Harris is a thief, a tease, and a heartbreaker. He knows too much, and it's all right there when he sings. I will add that Kemp is a warm and wonderful human being who I've had the great pleasure of getting to know better these last couple of years. Please welcome my friend Kemp Harris and his bandmate Adam Osgood.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Holy Moses, I have been deceived. Now the wind has changed direction, and I'll have to leave. Distant cousin from down the line, brand of people who ain't my kind. Holy Moses, I have been deceived. I'm going back to the border where my affairs ain't abused. I can't take any more bad water, been poisoned from my head down to my shoes. Holy Moses, let us live in peace. Let us strive to find a way to make the hatred cease. See the man over there, what's his color? I don't care. He's my brother. Let us live in peace. Cause ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Someday, yeah, we'll get it together and we'll get it undone. Someday, when the world is much brighter. Someday, yeah, we'll walk in the rays of a beautiful sun. Someday, when your head is much lighter. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter, 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 brighter. Ooh, ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter right now. Right now. 'Cause there's a new world coming, and it's just around the bend. There's a new day dawning. This one's coming to an end. There's a brand new morning, the one that we've had visions of, coming in peace, coming in joy, and coming in love. 'Cause who knows what tomorrow brings in a world few hearts survive. All I know is the way I feel, and it's real. I keep it alive. The road is long, and there are mountains in our way, but we climb one stair every day. Love lift us up where we belong, far from the world below, where the cold winds blow. Love lift us up where we belong, up to the mountain high, where the eagles cry for America, America. God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. The man walking out onto the stage right now is Adam Osgood. And some of you may know of Star Island, and that's where I met Adam Osgood when he was 12 years old. His parents had brought him there for years, and we've been playing music now
It's just been
together
a few years.
for about a few years.
35.
Okay. This is a song that I wrote called Ruthie's. I don't go to Ruthie's no more, no. I don't feel welcome cause here they come marching like we the people with constitutional rights. And they call on the Lord with all of his might to strike me down. That's why I never stay around. I went knocking on the church front door. Well, I met a man named Leviticus, quoting from the Bible, wrote a chapter in the book, had a copy in his hand for proof. That's why I try to stay aloof. They're just God-fearing people with family values, and they don't value no family with people like me. That's why I try to let them be. I say goodbye to my mother today. Well, on the road to Gethsemane, walking in the rain, no escape from the lions, let the gladiator games begin. And I call to the crowd for mercy, but still no justice comes, only their downturned thumbs. They're just God-fearing people with family values, and they don't value no family with people like me. Their eyes are open, but they just won't see. What makes them think they're so beautiful? What makes them think I'm so wrong? Don't they know we all can be beautiful? Why does it always take so long? Oh, 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 Lord. What makes them think they're so beautiful? What makes them think I'm so wrong? Don't they know we all can be beautiful? Why does it always take so long? Oh, 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 Lord. On the line between church and state, well, There was a man from the government trying to find evidence, told me that the love that I felt for my brother was wrong. They're just God-fearing people with family values, and they don't value no family with people like me. Maybe love will set them free. Thank you. Is our balance okay, harmonica, piano-wise? It's good? You're not being bold? Okay. This is a piece that we have never done in public before. And I'm still working on a group of songs that I want to call the America Chronicles, but this is the first of them. And let's see what happens.
That's right.
America is sad again. White folks done got mad again. But let's not worry, we'll just pretend that everything's okay. Don't teach the young your history. It's best it stays a mystery. 'Cause if they knew what you had done, they might be ashamed. You burn the books that tell the truth, and we'll say that it protects the youth. But what you don't want them to know will just come back. It'll just come back. But we don't need another song to tell us what we know is wrong. And we'll be happy just as long as we say everything's okay. You burn the books that tell the truth and say that it protects the youth. But what you don't want them to know will just come back. It'll just come back. But we don't need another song to tell us what we know is wrong. And we'll stay happy and play along like everything's okay. And Tulsa is just a city in the state of Oklahoma. This next tune is called Sweet Weepin' Jesus. But I'm going to start it a little differently for you this time.
All right. You switch it up.
I always like throwing stuff
Right
at
now,
you.
okay. All right.
And so once again, my dear Johnny, my dear friend, and so once again, you are fighting us all. And when we ask you why, you raise your sticks and cry, and we fall. Oh, my friend, when did you come to trade the fiddle for the drum? You say we have turned like the enemies you've burned, but I still can recall all the good things you are. And so I ask you, please, can you help us find the peace and the star? Oh, my friend, what time is this to trade the handshake for the fist? Looking at the world today, war is just a game we play. Someone will win and some will lose. Look at all the lives we lost. Won the war, but at what cost? Wonder next time what we'll choose. I said, oh my God, the tempest is raging. I said, oh my God, our ship has no captain. I said, oh my God, please hear us when we call. Sweet weeping Jesus, sweet weeping Jesus, sweet weeping Jesus, don't let us fall. Won't you hear us when we call? When we call, climb the ladder rung by rung. Politicians speak in tongues. No one understands what they say. Hear the ringing of the nails. Governments are up for sale. How the hell we let it get this way? I said, oh my God, there are thieves in the temple. I said, oh my God, the pillars are falling. I said, oh my God, don't leave us down here all alone. Oh, sweet weeping Jesus, sweet weeping Jesus, sweet weeping Jesus, don't leave us alone. Honey, could you pick up your phone? Could you pick up your phone? with the same old thing. Keep the people blind, deaf, and dumb, singing we shall overcome. But my country, 'tis of thee I sing. I said, oh my God, if thine is the power. I said, oh my God, and if thine is the kingdom. I said, oh my God, please hear us when we call. I said, sweet weeping Jesus, sweet weeping Jesus, sweet weeping Jesus, don't leave us alone. We can't make it on our own. We can't make it on our own. I said, sweet weeping Jesus, would you help me? Sweet weeping Jesus, don't leave me here. Sweet weeping Jesus, don't leave me here all alone. I can't make it on my own, on my own. I said, sweet weeping Jesus. Thank you. Thank you. I was born in 1952 in Edenton, North Carolina, and it's a small, very beautiful town. It was segregated at the time. I still remember the signs that said white only, colored only. I remember going to the movie theater and buying your ticket downstairs, and then you would go back outside and you would climb the fire escape because black folks sat in the balcony. My mom told me that there were so many things that I did not know because parents protect their children, that's what they do. But I went back to visit that town about 6 years ago. And yeah, there's been a lot of change, but for me, there is still that palpable feeling of knowing where you were supposed to be. And this song is called Edenton, and it's sort of my looking at that town, but through my grown-up eyes. It's called Edenton. Every Monday morning, a white man's at the door. Insurance cost $25 a week, who could ask for more? Movie show in the evening, my whole family's there. Climb the fire escape to the balcony, 'cause it sure is nice up there. Back in Edenton, back in Edenton, everybody knew their place. Everyone had a smile on their face. Back in Edenton, back in Edenton, I'll take care of you and you'll take care of me. Mama standing in the front yard, little kids are jumping rope. She's thinking about things she'd seen and hope we'd never know. People walking in the evening and everybody seems so kind. They say, good evening, how you doing? And I say, I guess I'm doing fine. But back in Edenton, back in Edenton, everybody knew their place. Everyone had a smile on their face. Back in Edenton, back in Edenton, I always knew just where I was supposed to be. And some said it was easier Some people thought it was easier. If you just keep smiling, it's easier. It was easier. I've been away so long now, and that insurance man left town. And those quarters, they don't mean nothing. Grandma's house is all burned down. But back in Edenton, everybody knew their place, and everyone had a smile on their face. Back in Edenton, I'll take care of you, and you'll take care of me. Wow. Back in Edenton, oh, in the town where I was born. But I never knew that I'd stay gone so long. Yeah, it was easier if you just keep smiling. It's easier. Everybody, yes sir, no sir, how you doing, sir? Everybody knew their place. Everyone had a smile on their face. Everybody knew their place, and everyone had a just keep smiling. It's easier. Everybody knew their place. Everyone had a smile on their face. Everybody knew their place. Everyone had a smile on their face. I'm going to put this down because I realize I can't see you at all. Hi. Good to see you. Yeah, I think what I'd like to do, and I have my clock right here because I want to make sure I keep to time. Alistair told me that if I ask you to sing something, you would. So, so right now, we have a couple more pieces for you. I would like to do a Bob Dylan tune. So far, I've done pretty much stayed to my original pieces, but I'd like to do I Shall Be Released. And the chorus of that is, I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, I forgot I've got to speak into the mic because the Zoom people won't hear me. Any day now, I shall be released. And I would like to, if I could, I would like to dedicate this to the people in Ukraine who are fighting for their very lives. And I'm praying that they shall be released from this craziness. But anyway. And if you have harmonies and stuff, I would love that. They say everything can be replaced, that every distance is not near. So I remember every face of every man who put me here. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. But any day now, any day now, I shall be released. They say everybody needs protection. They say everyone must fall. I swear I see my own reflection somewhere far beyond these walls. Oh yeah, I see my light come shining. Sounds so nice. From the west down to the east. But any day now, any day now, I shall be released. Adam O. Now he understands there in that lonely crowd a man who swears he's not to blame. But every day I hear him cry so loud, crying out that he's been framed. Oh yeah, I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. But any day now, any day now, I shall be released. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. But any day now, any day now, I shall be released. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. Thank you, and thank you for singing. Alistair, you were not kidding. They sang. They did. I have two more things I would like to do. I'm going to do a song that I wrote called Good Night, America. And I wrote it as a lullaby for this country because I think our country has been through a lot in years gone by. And then after that, we're going to do a piece by Willie Nelson, and we're going to rock it just to show you that we know how to play the blues. But this is called Good Night, America. Good night, America. Rest your weary head. Remember where you started and all that lies ahead. So, darling, good night, America. Doors will open for you, but there's miles to go before you find your way back home again. Good night, America. You're looking for some shelter from all the helter-skelter of this world we're living in. So, darling, good night, America. Hold on to tomorrow when all the pain and sorrow gives way to light again. You wear your heart upon your sleeve, but your sleeves ain't long enough. But the tough get going when the going gets tough, when the going gets rough. So, good night, America. Storms are closing in, and you don't know where you're going, and you don't know where you've been. So, darling, good night, America. I'll see you in the morning when another day is dawning and the sun comes shining through. I loved you then, and I love you still. You will always have my heart, and we'll all keep trying. Yes, we'll all keep trying. Good night, America. Storms are closing in, and you don't know where you're going, and you don't know where you've been. So, darling, good night, America. I'll see you in the morning when another day is dawning and the sun comes shining through. This is a song by Willie Nelson. I first heard it done by Aretha Franklin when I was a kid. Yeah, I know. Hey, they clap for you, Aretha. I thought she had written it because, you know, Aretha Franklin sings your song. You don't even remember who wrote it before that. But it's a Willie Nelson tune, and it's called The Nightlife. And just as an aside, I kind of liked it because it talks about how the nightlife ain't a good life. My job, my main job when I was working before I retired was I was a kindergarten first grade teacher, and I taught school for like 40 years. So in the daytime, I was a teacher. The nighttime, I was in clubs playing gigs, and so it was like the
Yeah, you were hanging tough.
I was hanging tough. It was tough. Yeah. It was a tough gig. I'd be in the morning like, hey, kids, we're going to do that reading and writing. And then like, okay, let's do something. So don't get too excited. We are in a sanctuary, so don't get too crazy. All right. And then after this, I'm going to go and sit on that chair for an interview with Alistair. You are awesome. Thank you so much. Here we go. sun goes down, you're gonna find me doing what I'm doing right now, and that's just sitting around. The nightlife, it ain't no good life, but it's my life. Yes, it is. Oh, good people, just like you and me, they sit around dreaming. They're dreaming about there used to be. But I'll tell you that the nightlife, that nightlife sure ain't no good life, but it's my life. Oh, oh, yes it is. Oh, listen to the blues and what they're playing. Listen to the blues and what they're saying. They seem to be saying that many people have loved and so many people have lost. But hey, listen, they might not have loved it all had they known that they couldn't pay the cost. Oh, oh, oh. To the blues and what they're playing. I wonder if y'all are listening to the blues. To the blues and what they're saying. They seem to be saying that many people have loved and so many people have lost. But hey, listen, they might not have loved it all had they known that they couldn't pay the cost. Oh, they tell me, yeah, they tell me, yeah, they tell me, they tell me life is just an empty scene. And they say that it's older than the oldest broken heart, I knew than the newest broken dreams. I tell you that the nightlife sure ain't no good life, but it's my life. Yeah, yeah, I tell you that the nightlife sure ain't no good life, but do you know that it's my life? Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, Adam Osgood. Thank you so much.
Kemp Harris.
Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Does this happen here every Sunday?
No, it does not. I think we're transitioning now into the interview time. It's just going to be one
Okay.
minute while we do that.
Sure.
Well, thank you again. That was really beautiful. Let me give you a chance to catch your breath.
All right, thank you.
I'm sure everybody has some questions to ask. I know Alistair does. And we're just going to transition into that in just a second. Everybody breathe. That was such a gift. This place
Thank you so much.
I don't know when it's been like that. I feel
I'll come back anytime. I'll come back anytime. I live in Cambridge. I don't live far. Yeah. Yeah. My Cambridge neighbor is back there, yes. Yes. We're Cantabrigians.
We've got Alistair now. Is Alistair here?
Am I up
He's
there?
here. I can see him, yes.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can do both. How are you?
Hey, Kemp, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Man, it's killing me not to be there, especially that I shall be released. I was all prepped to come play with you guys. So it just means we have to do it again.
We do, definitely. We'll do it again.
I'm feeling very grateful for technology, though, that at least we can do it this way, and this feels pretty intimate. Wow, some of your lyrics, man, they really get me. That I told you when you played it for me at your house, and it's a new piece, but that last line, Tulsa's just a city in the state of Oklahoma, such a powerful line. You've done some living in your life. Let's jump in and let's just get right into it. You came to Boston and started teaching in the 1970s, right? When did you start at Newton?
Yeah, I came to Boston like in 1955 when we left Edenton, North Carolina. But I studied elementary ed, and I started my teaching career in 1974 in the city of Newton. So yeah, that's where I got my teaching cred going on.
Your cred going. 1974. So you're here in Boston as a Black gay man, and you go get a job teaching kindergarten.
Yeah.
That makes you a double threat in this country we live in, right? But when we've talked, it sounds like you've had a wonderful experience over all those years teaching in the Newton public schools. We talk a little bit about what it was like when you started teaching there. And just for context for folks, I mean, there's plenty of folks here who will remember it, but 1974 was right in the midst of the Boston desegregation busing crisis. You were obviously in a different part. You weren't in the city of Boston, but it was a heightened time, just like it is now. What was your experience going to Newton, and what did it feel like?
Yeah, well, the first was that I was one of the few male kindergarten teachers, I think, in the state. And so I would always have that reaction when parents came in. They would come in and look for the teacher, and it's like, no, it's me. Here I am. And so my experience was more of people being so like, oh, a man teaching kindergarten, and it was 1974, and although I was never a closeted person, I did not go to school with, hey, I'm teaching and I'm gay, and I just want to tell you that it wasn't that time. So my experience was very positive. People were always surprised that there was a man teaching kindergarten, but my experience in Newton was extremely positive. And I had one of those classrooms where a lot of parents were trying to get their kids in because they wanted their kids to experience, like their early, formative years of school with a male teacher for kindergarten. So I got a lot of support. I think around the 80s, the issue, more people were sort of coming out. And so the issue of teachers in schools began to be a lot more serious. And although I did not face a lot of harassment backlash, I know even in the city of Newton, there was a faction of parents who were particularly up in arms about having gay teachers who were out and who were expressing who they were. I remember we had an exhibit just called Families Are Different. And it was just like photographs in the hallway, lobby, and some parents wanted that exhibit taken down because they did not want kids to see, these alternative families that they talked about. But one of the things that I experienced in Newton was, even though there was that faction going on, the majority of people just sort of stood up and said, we're not having that. And so we're not going to cave. And I think that's one of the things that I was most appreciative of, was that I felt a lot of support. And so, yeah, I think that's always important when you see something that's not right, to not just shake your head and be sad about it, but to sort of say, not today. We're not having that today. So yeah, there was a whole lot of support. In fact, when I got married, and this was like in 2012 when I got married, so I'd been there a long time, and my coming out on it was a process. So there were families who knew that I was gay, there were teachers who knew that I was gay, that I worked, but I didn't sort of walk around like, hey, here I am, but nor was I hiding. But when I got married, I got my kindergarten class, they made cards, and they made me wedding cards. And so my overall experience in Newton, I felt, was a very good one. And they took on issues of race, they took on issues of sexual identity, and sort of faced things head on. So that I was appreciative of.
When we've talked about this, one of the things you said that was interesting to me was that you felt like there was more of that happening back in the 1980s, of trying to diversify, of taking on race issues head on, and that you felt like there's less of it happening now.
Yeah, I mean, there was a real initiative to sort of look at diversity and inclusion, and so I think that because these were new topics, there was a real initiative. The city had, like workshops all year long. We went to conferences, and so it was very, very heavily pressed. I think now what seems to have happened, at least in my mind, is that people sort of feel, well, we did that. And so now we can move on to something else. But I think it's cyclical, because what happens is you felt, well, we've done that, and so we can now move on. But as I said in that song, what you don't want folks to know, it just comes back. And so it's not like you do it once and then you're done. You have to keep revisiting that over and over and over again, because it never goes away. It's just sort of like sometimes it gets quelled, but it doesn't take much for hate and for isolation to just sort of come back up. And I think we're seeing that now, that it's a time where we need that more than ever. But it's sort of like, well, let's not do that, because it will make it'll make somebody feel bad. It's like, no, you have to do that all the time. It's ongoing.
I think it's such an important point, because I think it's, the more you learn about history, the more I learned to make up all the holes of what we didn't learn, right, when we were in high school. And there's this smoothing of the curve that happens with history, to the point where I really didn't understand that Reconstruction, for example, was a period of time. And I think a lot of Americans don't, to understand that there was a time where tremendous progress was made. And sometimes that tremendous progress leads to the tremendous backlash. We should have all learned that lesson by now, but we have a great capacity for not learning lessons.
Yeah,
So I think that's really interesting about that. You felt that there was this tension to it, and that it's faded.
That's interesting, because I did not have a real understanding of the Reconstruction period. And it's sort of, that comes down to, well, then what is being taught in schools? And, I mean, I was in school in 1955 in kindergarten. It was like, it was the melting pot, and the entire world was happy, and you came to America, and everyone stirred you around in that pot, and nobody saw any colors at all. It's like, I don't see colors at all. It's like, yes, you do, But, so there's so much that I did not know. But when you look at what's happening now, it's sort of like, again, like people say, we've gotten past, we're now past color, because we elected a black president. And so that we are now done. We did that, but it's like, well, what we got after that, when you talk about the backlash, well, you know what we got as a backlash after we had elected our black president and we were no longer having to deal with any of that. So yeah, it's history repeats itself, and it repeats itself. And so you just have to stay aware. You just have to stay vigilant and sort of know what's going on, know where your past was. It's like when I said, America, you don't know where you're going and you don't know where you've been. It's like that, those are things we have to work on all the time. Yeah.
Well, it brings me to my next question, Kemp, is that I feel this, like, you played me some of those songs at your house about America that you're working on. You wrote in that lullaby song, America, You Have My Heart. You have this real patriotism about this country. I think, you're deeply invested in America as a concept. And I'm curious about that, because on paper, you have every good reason to say, go fuck yourself, America. But you don't. That's not where you
that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
see,
Friday
you're home.
night. It's the night.
Yeah, you're at home. You're not in the sanctuary.
We'll bleep that later. Sorry. But where does that come from? Do you agree? Is that a fair reading?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I tend to write. I do write just some pretty love songs sometimes. Sometimes I just want to write a song. In fact, my very first song was this song called "Let the Water." I think I was 14 or something. It was like, the land is hot with trouble. Let the water cool you off. Let the soothing tide of brotherhood. It was something like that. So I had been doing that. Then I was just writing like love songs, like, you just want to write. But yeah, my writing reflects, I think, my view of what I see. And in terms of groups that are sort of feeling a little bit of pressure now, I hit the jackpot. I'm black, I'm gay, I'm liberal, I'm old. I got all of it, so they're like this, we are coming for you, but, but I think there's still a love and a faith that I have. And it's so odd. I mean, I think that we're scared these days, and I think people do things out of fear that maybe they wouldn't necessarily do. And there's a part of me that knows, or at least hopes, that I know a lot of the politicians right now who are pushing the politics of fear and of separation and all of that. I don't think some of them do, but I don't think that most of them really believe it. I think that, one, they found that it works, and two, people are afraid. And so it's that combination of using that to take advantage of this time and this situation. But I have real faith that people are going to figure it out. There's going to be some hurt. There's going to be a lot of hurt coming for a while, but I think that people are going to figure it out. I have faith in that. And so I think that's why I sing about the hope that I do have. But I understand, and also I mean, I have to look at the fact that I'm pretty lucky. I taught in the city of Newton. I got a lot of support there. I know there are districts where people taught where it was not the experience that I had. I know that there are people who did not have the experience of a black man that I had, teaching in the suburbs of Newton and all that. I have no illusion how hard the world is, but I still hold that faith that it's going to come around. Something's going to change. Yeah.
We have so much in common. When I hear you talk about that nightlife, it sounds so familiar. Even with COVID, I spent the day today writing a song called "The Blue Otters Go to Kittyland," which is a song I think you would appreciate about. It's a pirate trip. But I too spend many of my days with very young kids, and I know it's informed. It made me a far better songwriter and definitely a better performer. You were a classroom teacher, which I mean, I spent a lot of time with kids, but classroom teachers are the heroes among heroes, and it's Teacher Appreciation Week. So I think
it is this week. Yes.
That's a big job. And for almost everybody I know that's a classroom teacher, that is enough of a job. But you managed to make a whole career. I mean, I cut stuff out of your intro to get going, but you've shared the stage with big folks like Coco Taylor and Taj Mahal, and you've written works for Alvin Ailey Dance Company and other groups. How did you make the time for it? And also, how did they inform each other? Did they feed each other?
I would say, well, the very cool thing for me now is that I think my first class that I ever taught, I think they're like 55 years old or something. I mean, so they are adults, and they have found me on Facebook. They know how to find me now. I realize that I'm looking at you on this screen, so I don't know, they're probably seeing me doing this a whole lot. So I'm gonna look up and talk with folks a little bit there so you see my eyes. But yeah, but what I found most amazing is that in speaking with students that I've had, things that I did that were important for them, that I just did as my daily job, that I hadn't even really thought about. And when you speak with them and they'll say to you, when you did this, you have no idea how much that meant to me, or how that changed me. There was one of my students, we used to always go down to the gym and we would watch people vote. We would just walk in, sit on the floor, and when people came in to vote, they'd walk by this group of kids just going, and they were sort of like, you know, okay, well. But the poll workers got to so much into it that they would show us how the machines work. They show us that. One of my students grew up, and she is now like a campaign manager on various campaigns. And she said, when you took me into that gym and we watched people vote, and she said, my love of that started right then and there. So I've had kids who have said to me, I remember I had a little boy who came from Venezuela, and he came to school and he spoke no English at all, and when his parents brought him to the classroom, I stopped the class and we all went up and we shook hands, we all said hi to him, and his mom said, he always remembers that day that you made the entire class stop and speak with him, and he had no idea what you were saying, but he just thought it was the most lovely thing. So things that you do that you don't even put, you know, that much weight on, you don't know how, you know, how it's going to affect kids. And so for me, I learned a lot being with kids. I probably learned because I mean, I know I was a teacher, but I really saw myself more of a facilitator. I wanted to create a space where kids would really love to learn, and I wanted to create a space for them to be able to do that. So I did all the disciplines of, you know, like reading and math, and we did all that. But I had a whole lot of music, I had a whole lot of theater, I had a whole lot of just heart in terms of working, you know, working with kids. And so I think I probably sponged as much from them as hopefully they got from me. And I continue to this day when I work with groups of kids to keep learning and to keep, you know, growing from them. Like, you know, it's like I'll be 70 in September, but I still feel, oh, I told you I was old. But I still find myself learning from younger people. And I think that's part of the faith that I have about just not this country, but the world in general. I have a lot of faith in young people, so I look to that, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to open it up to some questions before we let you go. Before I do, I have one other question. You grew up in a very different church than the one you're in right now. What was in every way? What was the denomination?
It was a Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist.
And I have to tell you that when I started going out to Star Island, and I told my mom, I was like, you know, it's a group of people there called the UUs, and you know, my mother said, but they don't say the word Jesus enough in their hymns. I don't know. I don't know. Because I was like, I said, you know, Mom, I think I tend to be very spiritual, but not so much religious per se, because for me, religion is, religion is people-made. You know, you have the book of this, and you can use religion to do a lot of things. And so when I look at how religion gets used, I'm like, I think I'm going to call myself spiritual, you know, a little bit more. So I tend to look at that, but I just find that spirit part of me, it's the same thing that will have me go to a Catholic Mass and be in tears at the music that I'm listening to, or looking at a cathedral and just thinking the devotion that somebody had to build this church that took 300 years that they're never going to see the end of, but they're that devoted. So there is, I think, that spirit that sort of binds it all together. So, yeah, but my mother's church, you could go there. The whole pandemic changed things, but I still would go to my mom's church because she felt that when I was working in clubs and playing music in clubs, she would have to call me back in every now and then just to make sure I was still singing for the Lord, because she said, you're out there in those clubs, you know, and you don't know what people out there are doing, so you need to come back in here and sing for the Lord every now and then. So to this day, I still go to my mom's church, and we'll, you know, when they have something, we'll do it like Zoom-wise, or I used to go in person. But yeah, but you could go there and hear the most amazing music ever. But the whole feeling of it, you know, you had the minister was throwing the handkerchief in the air and catching it, and I was like, it's, you know, it's you know, I was scared to be bad. You know, you just had to be good because you were scared to death. But yeah, but
this, I mean, this is answering a large part of my question, but that's, I mean, you hinted at it in the song, in Ruthie's, was it Ruthie's Place?
Mm-hmm.
About God-fearing people with family values, but
Yeah.
they don't value people like me. There's a tension there, right? And between what I've always had a hard time articulating this, but I think it would be helpful, useful for some of the UU's crowd and here to talk about this just a little bit. There was a guest minister here last year, Reverend Karen Hutt, who's a Black woman who has done a lot of work with the UU Church with LGBTQ youth of color. And she's doing some amazing work, and she's doing outreach work, but she's taking the church to those kids. These are kids who haven't been accepted in their churches where they are. She wants to bring those UU values, but she was explaining to some of the members here and to other congregations she goes to that the UU Church has worked really hard to restructure itself, to deal with structural racism. They've done a great job, but I think there's a lot of UUs sort of waiting on, like, when are the Black and brown people going to show up and come join us because we've done all the right things? And Karen was here to tell us they're not coming because this church doesn't feed the soul of most Black folks. And I think some folks were oddly taken back by it, which I find strange because it's so clear to me what that means. If you've been to a Black Baptist church or even a white Baptist church, that passion, right, that fire, it feeds your soul. The other side of that, though, is that often it comes with a whole bunch of other baggage that theologically, intellectually, ethically, you may not be able to swing with. And I don't know if there's a church that manages to do both, but you've navigated both space. You and Bill have spent a lot of time at Star Island. So what do you feel like in the UU spaces?
You know, it's odd. When I am in UU space, I always feel if I were going to go to a church, you know, that I could do this very, very easily, because I like the sense of community. I love the sense of the values that folks have. I know that, though, if I'm at my mother's church, I can be brought to tears by just someone raising a hymn from out of nowhere. And then but you do have that sense of this church has sustained Black people for hundreds of years. And so I have to give that kind of homage to respect what it has done for that. But at the same time, although now I think also you have to step out of that fear sometimes, just be bold on your own, to sort of be at that church and to be who you are. And I've gotten to that place now, because one of the funny things about that song that you mentioned, Ruthie's, I have an uncle who was a minister. He's much older now, and he is retired. But he had all the homophobic dogma down. So there I am sitting in this church, and it's like, okay, this is my uncle. Here we go. Am I going to say something? Then it was like, okay, yeah, I am. I just have to tell you, I can't come here and do this with you if this is what you're going to be. But the funny thing was, when I would do the song Ruthie's, God-fearing people with family, but he loved the song. And he would say to me, I want you to come and do that song, Ruthie's. I love that. I think you're only hearing the word God-fearing. I was like, have you listened to the rest of the song? Do you know what I'm singing about? Because it was sort of like, it was something he had separated those two things. So yeah, I think that and I've noticed that there's a church, my church where I was baptized, it's in West Newton, Mass. And it's Myrtle Baptist Church, and their minister is a gay man who just got married. I think the black church is beginning to open up around that. It took a very long time, but I think that church is beginning to open up. And in fact, the person that I wrote the song Ruthie about has totally turned on. She'll call, she's like this, when I wanted to say happy birthday, and put Bill on the phone because I want to sing happy birthday to him too, and and I loved it, but so there's been shift, and it's taken a long, long time, but there is shift that's going on. So I'm grateful for that, but yeah, it is a hard row to sort of dance in between sometimes. But yeah, but I have to say that when I went to Star Island, I've been going since 1985, and my then partner, now husband, would not come for the first 5 years because he thought it was a cult, and he was just like, I'm not going out to Star. I was like, wait, there's too much, I don't know. Everyone's talking Star Love and Starlight, and it's my spirit's home, and that guy's like, but now he's been there for like, he's been going now for like, I don't know, 30 years, and absolutely loves it. So yeah, it's I find the whole way that you interact and what you try and what you attempt to do, I find that very inviting. So yeah.
Thank you, Kemp. So I believe there's a wireless mic there out in the audience. We can take some questions if folks would like to step up, or if Jane's there. I can't see anything.
I'm here, Alistair, and I've got the mic. I'm walking toward the back, and
Great.
Tug has a question.
Thank you, Kemp. Thank you, Alistair. I wanted to ask, Kemp, what are the musical influences what music greatly influenced you, starting with your upbringing?
Yeah, I would say my first biggest musical influence as a kid was standing around my mother, who worked as a homemaker, in various people's houses, and I would go to my mom for work. And my first influence was my mom standing and ironing clothes at someone's house when she was working and singing hymns and singing, songs from the church that we went to. And so listening to my mother's voice was my first big influence. After that, I mean, I was one of those kids in the 50s and 60s who just had a stack of 45s, and I would listen to, everybody, Aretha Franklin, Dionne Warwick, Stevie Wonder, Otis Redding, and then I got into high school and I started veering off into rock music, and so Janis Joplin was a huge influence, because if you can see and then go, I mean, I was into it, and Joel Cocker, but so my influences are really wide. Where I had a subscription to the Met because the opera just freaked me out. So my influences are crazy, but in terms of my writing, I would have to say Joni Mitchell absolutely slays me. And I didn't get to do, maybe I'll come back and do a concert of folk stuff, and I'll do some of the things I love about Joni Mitchell, but Joni Mitchell, Stevie Wonder, jazz artists that just freak me out, but I just absolutely love. So I couldn't even tell you who they are at the top of my head right now, but I can only say that I listened to a lot. And even though you don't want to do it just like them, you can't help but take on the influence that you've had, and then it comes back out of you. But yeah, my influences go from here to there, and it's just, just like soaking it in. And that's what I did as a kid, yeah. Thanks.
Anybody else in the room have a question? Oh, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. I loved your music. I wanted to ask you, since you're here talking about race today, about, societies, in so many...
Could you go just a little bit louder?
Yeah. society in so many ways is just so different from, kind of decades before, and we have kind of an ability to self-segregate through kind of social media, and we don't have sort of local newspapers that we all read the same papers anymore. And in terms of talking with people about race, how do you kind of make decisions that you kind of have it in you at the moment to do that, and how do you decide that, okay, I'm going to say something versus, no?
Yeah, I I was one of those guys on Facebook who was reading the stuff, hitting the anger button, sending a reply, sending it out to people. And I was one of those guys on, Facebook. And then I sort of said to myself, and I was getting into arguments with people that I didn't even know about things that I'd seen that just really bothered me so much. And then I came to the conclusion that, one, that really wasn't productive for me. So I can only have the views that I have, and I think that I try to share a lot of what I think through the music that I write. And so I think I try to express myself now. I have a friend, Lydia Harrell, who said, if you've got that kind of issue going on, write about it. And so I think one of the jobs that artists have is to not preach at people, but I just tend to put my view of the world out there, and hopefully people will sort of take that in. But I find that I don't like to get into the arena of people that I don't know, of just like, getting into the back and forth, and it's like, yeah, I don't have time for that, sir. But in terms of a great discussion that I think is going to make some change, then I'm up for that, and I will have that discussion. I think that it's scary sometimes to have to bring those. I think that's where they call them, those tough conversations. But we've all gotten a little more comfortable having difficult conversations. So that I try to do more. But I think as an artist, I try to express, this is just how I see the world, and you can choose to look at it, or you can choose not to, but I feel I have to put it out there. But yeah, I will, I think I tend to support candidates that I think are doing the work that I like, and so I tend to support, politicians that I feel are doing good work. I support causes that are doing good work that I feel. And when I can, if I can have a conversation that might not so much change someone's mind, but just to kind of give them, here's a look that you had not looked at before, then I will engage in that, and I think that's very worthwhile.
Hi, thank you very much for your music. It's beautiful. I'm 73, so you're just a kid. So I have two questions. How come harmonica players always have cool hair? I just had to throw that out there.
Well, he's sitting right back there. I don't know if he.
Yeah. It's just.
Well, my friend, why do they have hair and I don't? That's
yeah. I take any kind of hair.
Right. Yeah.
I just noticed harmonica players for some reason they have cool hair. On a more serious note, I wonder, my son's a young musician, Alistair knows him. What advice would you give a young musician who's just trying to make his or her or their mark in the world through music?
Yeah. That's a hard one, because I know that there are people who their whole life is their music, and they feel they have to make it. And I think the days of being, sitting in Harvard Square like Tracy Chapman and playing in the subway, and somebody sees you and suddenly you've got a record contract, that kind of stuff is so gone now. And the way that you make it, I don't even understand TikTok and how you do it, but I guess it's the way things happen now. So for me, I guess, I do my music because I love doing it. And sometimes I get a great chance to do, like I got to write for Alvin Ailey. I get these great opportunities. I got a chance to write some, for a documentary for GBH. These things come and these things go. There are some folks who are on the track to be stars, per se, but I think that for me, when I was teaching, I had a job that, that paid all my bills, and so when I did music and theater, I did that because I loved doing it. And I wasn't like some friends of mine who were like every day they're doing cards to send out because they had to get that next audition. So I find that I'm not the one to ask how to become famous, but I think that I would say if you love the music that you do, find spaces where you can share that music, and you never know where things are going to come from. So I don't have advice per se, other than to say I do my music because I have to. I have to get that music out of me, and sometimes I get lucky and something great will happen, and that's awesome. And then sometimes I'll be sitting at my cabin with Adam. You know, we'll do like a virtual blues thing that we did for WUMP radio, and that was awesome. So I just sort of take things as they come, but I keep producing and I keep putting it out there. I've got a friend who discovered Rihanna, and it's like, hey, that's awesome, but I don't go to him and go, do you think you could do something? Because that's not the way that I kind of go about it. He does want to do a jazz album with me, though, and so I'm like, now that would be kind of fun. But yeah, things come, and so yeah, I just do it because I need to, yeah. And tell your son to keep playing and to keep putting it out there, yeah. Beryl?
Hi, Kemp. Beryl.
Yes.
Well done.
I thought I recognized you.
So, after many years as an educator, I'm wondering how your time as an educator has influenced, if in any way, your work as a musician, as a storyteller, and if it's changed since you've retired.
I would say, particularly with the storytelling, because I still visit schools and I still do storytelling for kids, and I've done stories from the stage, like GBH for adults as well, and music. I would say that the change has been that I sort of recognize the power of storytelling and the power of music now more so than I did earlier, because I hear the stories from kids who are now grown-ups. And I've done, and until you go and to do a storytelling session and a little child walks up and says, you had my mom when she was in kindergarten, you're like, really? Okay, how old am I? Or the grandchildren of the, so that's beginning to happen. So I think that for me, I'm beginning to see like a real arc of what I've done. And so it becomes almost more, not more important, but I see what my effect has been. And I think that's very important. So I'm very aware whatever I'm doing now, that this is going to do something that I may not even get to see, but I just feel like I'm planting seeds. I'm making change. And so I think that I look at the fact that I'm making change, and I know that because I've seen it, in the arc of folks I know, and I'm still doing it, and I may not be able to see the end of it coming, but I'm making some change. And so I think that's how my music and my storytelling, I feel it has more power for me these days. I just feel like I'm affecting change, and I'm hoping I'm affecting change in a good way, but I'm affecting change, yeah.
Maybe we can take one more question, or I'll let you read the room, Kemp. I just want to highlight something you said before. So many young folks. Jesse, Greg's son, is a great young performer, but so many young folks, they ask about how to be a musician, how to be a performer, how to be an artist, and often what they really mean is, how do you be famous? I think your distinction between those, it's such an important one, and it's one that we don't talk a lot about in society. So those two ideas have become so converged, but they're two very, very different things. And I think you as an educator, and I feel this way too, and as you get older and you let go of some of that, you're able to focus on the thing that made us want to do it in the first place, to make art, Sorry, nobody asked me. Who else has a question?
We're good?
Questions in the
All
room?
righty. Again, I just want to thank you, and Adam Osgood, thank you for being here with me. I love doing these duos, and Yeah, thank you so much.
Kemp, thank you so much. As
Alistair, thank you. No, you just saw me, Alistair, not to say stare. I've been saying Alistair. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was awesome, just awesome. I wish you could be here to see this room of people, but it's just amazing. Thank you.
I wish so too, but this was the next best thing. Thank you, Kemp. It's such a pleasure. I felt like I was almost there. Thank you guys all for coming out tonight. Just as we sign off, for those of you in the room and at home, I want to thank again the Massachusetts Cultural Council and the Melrose UU Church, especially for hosting and for all their in-kind support tonight. Thanks to Bill Holt on the sound and video technology, yeoman's work tonight. Thank you to the anti-racism team of this church and to Paul Locke for taking photos and the technology team. The Opening Doors Festival is coming up on Saturday, June 11th. It's going to be an outdoor event if the rains hold off. Otherwise, it'll be an indoor event. And you can check out our past interviews, our upcoming live events at openingdoorsproject.net. And if you're so inclined to donate, you can do that there as well. Thank you all so much, and I hope we'll see you in June.